We grow the company, grow the product, but at the same time, we become more and more replaceable.
Every project has a dark side. You never want to go there.
You have this chicken egg problem where you are looking for specialists, but there's not enough specialists because they don't have experience. But they don't have experience because nobody hired them.
People start appreciating people more.
You hire a contractor, their job is give me the task, I'll deliver it. That's it.
Even if that guy who is paying you to do your job, if he doesn't care, then why would you care?
You have this kind of I don't give a shit mentality where you just do something which was the ticket asked for and you push it. You don't even compile their code, you don't check it. Somebody like the reviewer will check it.
Believe me, it's not pleasant when you deploy something and something is not working and the clients tell you about that.
Some companies say fuck people, will try to cut as much and replace them with agents and whatnot and maybe have fewer people.
I look at AI as some superpowers that a person can have.
When I say something is ready, something is really ready. Meaning I tested it, I ran the code, I went through some scenarios, user flows and whatnot, and then I say it's ready.
I already saw so many things that I can smell the bullshit and the situation from far away, and I already know.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode of VUnstaged, another interesting episode of the After Hours edition, after work, where we chill, sip some wine, and have a discussion with a very interesting guest. Today's guest is not just a regular guest, not just a person that I've been working with, but it's my first manager, and it's the person who is kind of my mentor, is the person who shaped my career in a way. Like the first person that gave me a contract, which is a way to put it that this was my jump ship, my jump into the world of tech, the world of engineering, for which I am very appreciative. So without too much further ado, I'll hand it over to you. So if you can tell us your name, what do you do for a living? And I ask this everyone, how did you get into tech? Because everyone has their own unique, interesting story.
Okay, hi. Thank you, Steve, for inviting me. My name is Andrian Moraresco. I am a software developer from the beginning when I graduated my studies, university. And in the last 11 years, let's say, I am more head of the IT department. I am working together with the developers, the testers, and on the other side with the other colleagues, departments for whom we are building our product.
Are you an engineering manager or a CTO at the moment?
I would say a CTO, sometimes a product manager, sometimes an engineering manager, sometimes
you're the orchestra,
an HR person of the IT department. Sometimes
you're the one-man army. This is a good position to be in, I guess, but it can also be annoying.
It depends on how intensive it is, this kind of job, and what kind of problems you are solving in that moment. If it's something that you can combine, then it's not a problem. If it's something you like, it's fantastic.
But you keep the pulse like on everything. That's like the interesting part of it.
Yeah, and I have the option to jump from a role to another. But most of the time, I like to be with the developers and to build.
I would love to jump into topics, but it smells like wine in the air, and we must we must break the ice, and also kind of dry. So I want to touch on some of that. So we have two interesting brands. We have Purcari and we have Individuo, I guess, two different brands. At the end of the show, the tradition is you pick a bottle. So I guess let's start the show by breaking the ice on the wine department. It smells like wine, so I had to make this intro. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, very tasty and good.
Yeah, we'll see which one you like more, but I guess you won't have the chance because you're driving today. So yeah. He's breaking the law just by a tiny bit.
The wine is too good not to taste it. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Red wine is like a must on the show. Nevertheless, I guess maybe let's go back into how we started the discussion. You mentioned this idea of doing a little bit of everything. and you also mentioned you are a software developer. I'm just wondering, and also curious at the same time, what was the trigger? Like, at what point in your career you went from doing software engineering to, well, tinkering with the idea of I maybe like and want to manage people, maybe want to be more close to the business, to the C level and whatnot?
Well, I guess from the very beginning, I had this possibility to speak with people who don't understand IT,
Right.
and to um, explain them how things work, or if they needed something, to ask the right questions to understand what is the problem that they want to solve, and then I could convert this into code to something that can fix it. So um, also I had um, a job where I was like a support engineer, someone who was in the middle of a business and the tech team that was building that product. It was about um, an entire solution for a telecom company
Yeah.
that would cover the all the billing part, the um, um, data about the phones, the calls, SMS, traffic, then billing, payments, services, everything that a telecom um, company has,
Yeah.
the entire billing system. So I was somehow in the middle. I had to understand the problems. I had to pass the information to the developers to tell them the problem that was found. On the other side, the developers were asking for data, for information. We had to debug, to dig into the database logs and so on, to be able to tell them what's the problem. And that gave me some knowledge how to do that, to be in the middle.
It's always interesting, like a lot of the times you typically get promoted to that, and you're
Mhm.
saying that it was like happening naturally in a way. You were.
Yes, and at my current company, how I became or how I got this role
Yeah.
was that there was a moment when the existing manager decided somehow to step away
Yeah.
piece by piece, and someone had to fill in this gap. So naturally, somehow, I was responsible for a few people, then for a few processes, then for more people, and then for the entire team. And the team was small at that moment, but there was a moment when the team was about 40 to 50 people. Of course, split it in different
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
departments,
Yeah.
different smaller teams, but it went like that. It
I
was
still remember the
crazy.
days when we were doing the daily stand up. Like, we were not doing it from, at some point, we got to do it from the laptop and stuff.
Yeah.
But initially, we were doing it like everyone was standing, and we would go in around like super quick. Like, that was something which I haven't experienced in any other company, because everything is remote, distributed nowadays. And that was something interesting to experience at the time.
That was the last time when we did stand-ups standing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
After that was everything online.
Because there's even a joke like stand-ups should be in form of a plank, like, you know how you do plank at the
Yeah,
gym.
to keep it short.
Because you can't like stay for more than like 2 minutes or so,
Yeah.
because they tend to sometimes be too long, and it can be annoying for everyone else who's listening, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You mentioned this because again, I have like vivid memories, because this was like my first job and my first exposure to a company product, to actual product development and whatnot. Whereas with a lot of companies in Moldova, especially where we do outsource, you don't really get that exposure. You like finish it, hand it over to
Mhm.
the client, and forget about it, move on to the next thing. Whereas here, the focus is quality, the focus is actual user experience, clients being happy, the business actually being functional, and quality was a priority. Also at the time, I was since you mentioned this idea of the one man army and you being here and there, I saw you like being in the management, having calls with the business and whatnot, at the same time pushing some deployments and whatnot. It was always interesting, so I was curious. To all the people who are developers, a lot of the times they don't see this aspect of how they get their work, and
Mhm.
they forget what they are there for in the first place. which is to solve business problems. So can you explain how does a developer, like how important it is for a developer to actually be more close to the business, understand the business? Because a lot of the times they work in their own sandbox environment and they don't care, like they have a ticket, but they don't like question how did they even get to that ticket in the first place. Maybe there was a problem, maybe there was some discussion, maybe there's some roadmap which we're trying to reach.
Well, actually, I think everyone starts with this. They have a ticket to solve. They need to find a solution. They look into the code to see if there is something similar, or maybe there is something that it needs to be built from scratch, and they just do it. They deliver it, and that's it.
Yeah.
They just wait for the next ticket. If they don't have a ticket, they are happy. If they have more tickets, they are somehow, oh my God, I have so many tickets. But that becomes a moment when they don't really understand what they are solving. And I remember I had a performance evaluation with someone who said that I don't understand why I'm doing this. I don't understand the impact of my work. I don't understand why this ticket is important or not important. And I was really shocked in that moment because I didn't have this thought that
Yeah.
someone cannot understand what they are doing. We are working on the same project for a long time, and you can see how it grows or transforms from one to another. And I was thinking that this is very obvious.
Yeah, because you're like you give pointers to like, okay, we go this direction, that direction. At the same time, you're not involved in that. But
Yeah.
I can tell from my own experience, at some point, like I was involved in a company where at some point I wouldn't care about the project. I would just work with UUIDs. I would just work with strings, numbers, floats, and I'm just like doing some API stuff. Where is this used? How is this used? And there are even companies who tell you we don't care that you have your opinion as much on the product. We just care you implement the task, move on to the next task.
Okay, we don't do it in our company.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think that's the secret why we have so many people staying with us for so much time, because they know what they are doing and they can grow together with the product, and they can recognize, let's say, an area of a project where it's their work and they're proud of it.
Yeah.
And they can see how it grows. So it's very important to understand what piece of a puzzle now you are arranging on a bigger table, and
That's if you
how.
have a big table.
Yes,
Because
but
a lot of especially with startups, I notice startups like small projects, I notice they lack a vision, a roadmap, if you will. They don't know what's the direction we're going to. Requirements change frequently. At the same time, the team doesn't know what they're solving, as you said, because if you hire people that are like, they have like a contractor mind, not like a visionary mind. They don't care. They, okay, you need to change this API to, instead of this response, return you that response. Done. Next ticket.
no,
Yeah. they
it's not
don't
about that.
they don't fully take into context how is this going to be used by the front end. Is this going to be efficient? Shall we introduce HTTP caching? Shall we do this and that for optimizing the whole process, the whole flow and whatnot? Like that's when the whole picture, as you said, comes into play.
Yeah, it happens with juniors or people who are new to our project. We somehow give them pieces and we don't tell them too much.
Yeah.
Because even with that, they have a lot to learn and we don't want to make it too complicated. But on the same time, we are involving them in bigger epics and make them like co-pilots, let's say, to the entire journey to learn what's happening, how it started, what's the roadmap that they need to follow, and how the final result should look like. So that next time when we have something similar, they can pick the entire epic by themselves.
Yeah, so you can throw like a bigger problem at them.
Yeah, and I'm very happy to know when, for example, something new appears, and I have in mind like 5 people who can pick up this one.
Yeah.
But sometimes because it's too complex or the available people are not so experienced, sometimes these kind of epics are on a waiting list, and we wait someone to free up, or we wait someone to finish the core problem of an epic and to switch to something else, and this one to be ended by people with less experience or
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
problem, I guess, is when you have these knowledge silos where everybody knows topics, but they're not publicly shared, or it's not like, of course, some kind of job security is at stake when everything is too easy and too public and too open, but this
Mhm,
overall benefits the company, the team,
mhm,
everyone who's involved. Like you can, the way I look at the project, especially when I started, is I need to make and write this project in such a way that if tomorrow something happens to me, it shouldn't take more than 2 weeks for somebody to onboard and actually know what's going on, how
mhm.
to pick it up, and where I left off, basically. And if that's not the case, if you have like a person who is the documentation instead of the actual documentation, then yeah, you have a problem.
Yeah. In our team, we try to keep everything open, so all the tickets or everything is accessible. All the repositories are accessible. You can always look into the code, how they are connected. You can have access to what everyone is doing, and you can even come and ask for questions
Yeah,
like, "Can you tell me more about this epic? What's happening? Why you're doing like this?" There are a few more other options why you choose specifically this one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Plus, even our management, it's also open for discussions. You can always knock on a door and ask what's the strategy for the next year or
Yeah, I
why we are doing
remember
this and that. So that's the style of the company.
I remember the times. I'm not sure to what extent that happens nowadays, even in product companies, but it was a really good exposure. And we would even be placed like on different floors. So you'd have like a floor on like some
Mhm,
business analysts, business people. And then I would walk the stairs or pick up the elevator, talk to the business people, figure out what they want, and then come back to my ticket. Okay, now this makes more sense because a lot of
mhm,
the times tickets weren't reported by you or by anyone who's technical enough. And
mhm.
you would just have something reported, and you're like, what the fuck does this mean? Like, let me go ask a bunch of people.
And you could ask, right?
You could ask. There is one slight exception. With like, I'll be all the way honest.
Mhm,
With time, the more senior you become, the more targetable in a way you become by many people, and you don't get to focus as much on your work. And sometimes you would get into situations where you, as a junior, go and ask, and you just get told like, "Fuck off! Like
yeah,
I'm busy right now." Maybe not in the
yeah.
most direct way, but
No,
it
but
happens.
it depends what you call work. What is your work? If your work is to write code and to solve technical problems, then probably that's what
It, I
you
would
stay.
say, also depends on the company culture. Like if at some point you're like a technical person, but let's say you enter the new game, which is more managing people, still
Mhm,
doing somewhat of a technical work, then that's fine. But if you have management which just give you more responsibilities, okay, from now on you're gonna manage people, but at the same time we want the same output, then that's unrealistic. And at some point you will burn out. You like need to sacrifice either the amount of work you produce or the quality of management you will have over your team.
Well, it's always a trade-off. You need to give up on something. And when I got this role, in fact, I was the guy who was trying to be involved in the technical part and to be there when the code is written and so on. But I was like advised, you need to give up. You have a lot of
True,
smart
true.
people around you. Just let them do the work. You can tell them what's important for you. You can tell them what are the things that you want to see or don't want to see in that code, and let them do it. If they do a mistake, tell them about that, uh, correct if there is something to correct, give an advice, but don't keep it to you, like leave it, give
Yeah.
it away. So that's what I tried to do, and I think I'm doing now. I'm not writing any kind of code, and I am doing code review, but only to those things that I want to make sure that the guys understood the business logic
Super
or
critical and stuff.
how this is connected. Or sometimes in during some discussions, I know what are the next 2 3 steps, and I want to make sure that this will be possible,
Yeah.
and you don't need to refactor anything when you'll come to next level. So that's what I care. But in the rest, regarding the code, the architecture, and so on, I'm looking because I'm curious. I don't want to lose anything, to
Yeah.
still be in shape, let's say, if it comes to write code again, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah, you mentioned something interesting, which is trade-offs.
Mhm.
I'm curious, what are the trade-offs you had to make? Like you had to swallow your tongue almost as an ex-developer once you
Mhm.
became a manager, and you were told like, hey, there's a lot of a lot shit on your plate. You need to give up some of it. And I tend to believe that sometimes, like, it even happens with like this podcast. Like, I used to do the video editing, now I
Mhm.
handed it over.
Mhm.
Initially maybe I wanted things like super perfect the way that I wanted them to be, but then I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I want the other person to be creative, to have some kind of autonomy. I'm wondering to what extent you, let's say, giving people more autonomy, you'll maybe lost some of the, let's say, they don't always fall in place as you maybe wanting them to, or maybe you sacrificed on certain standards you had. Like, do you have any trade-offs you made?
Well, I lost the opportunity to code,
Do you
let's
miss
say.
that?
Um, Actually, I'm coding right now, but I'm doing it when I have time in my free time. And this also comes from a necessity, you
Right.
know? Even as you said, someone is editing the video, but you still sometimes want to try something new. Let me see if I can do that.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
I can
cannot fully
introduce.
give up. I'm like,
Yeah.
I still
So
want to be in shape, as you said.
it's the same.
Yeah.
But in rest I somehow switched. There is something that make you feel good and you discover something else. I think what I like to do is to solve problems, and if it's a technical problem or another type of problem, it doesn't uh, I don't care too much.
Right.
So I'm still satisfied that I did something at the end of the day.
Yeah. I I think no matter what I will do at some point in life, which will not involve coding, I will never, for one single time, not miss it or not want to do it, even if
Mhm.
it's a small project, a DIY or something like that. I guess it's the same with management. I don't know. Like, do you still have like the developer blood within you where you like, I don't know, want to just try out new toys, new things?
Yes, yes, but what I don't have is time, how much time I can invest in this. So
Yeah, that
I
is,
always need to pick, from 10 things that I would want to try, what is the most uh, important or maybe appealing thing. I want to
yeah.
do it like today.
Yeah,
So,
that's also my biggest
that,
enemy. Like, there's so many like tabs open, courses I want to
uh-huh.
try, things I
Yeah.
want to learn. It's just so
Yes.
little time every single day.
Yes, and you gather them in on a phone, on a computer, somewhere, and you always try to find some time to pick something. Or another problem is I might start many things
Yeah.
and then jump from one to another, and I never finish them, and that's because of lack of the time.
Yeah, that time is like the biggest enemy. And a lot of people think they have time and they just waste it left and right.
Mhm.
But there's so many useful ways you can upgrade your life, whether it's technical, job related, or non-related. Yeah, it's just not enough time for me. It's like always, okay, I'm always on some shit, I'm always doing something,
Mhm.
and it's always not enough time. And at some point you also need to like enjoy life, because time passes on, you get older, new experience of life and whatnot. Yeah, it's a delicate balance. How do you manage this balance, by the way?
I always have to pick. Work is work, and sometimes even when I'm driving or when I'm home, I still think about work. And in the same time, I have a few hours when I can spend it with my family,
Right.
with kids, and they all also want my attention. They are absent for a long period of the day, and when they have a few hours to be with me, I am fighting with myself to give up on other thoughts and to pay them some attention, because in 2 3 hours they can go to sleep, and I again can switch to my
True, true.
uh, other thoughts. So that's the mm, challenge that I have.
Same here. Like, every single time I like, you need to be focused. I need to do this, do this, do this, and every day, like, you need to. It's like breaking your bones every single day. You wake up,
Hmm.
you need to fight the same fight. It's like paying rent, but it's every day. You wake up, I
Yes.
need to pay rent again, which is whatever you're doing. At the same time, you're only 30 once in life. You're only 31 once in life. Like, how do you make this interesting and beautiful, and so that you can remember it, and I guess not regret about it?
Yeah.
You mentioned like one of the challenges when working like juniors, and I ask this everyone, like, how do we, because we reached like a point of impasse, I would say, where you have a bunch of seniors, whether they're hired, whether they're desperate and looking for jobs on the market, or and you have a bunch of juniors, whether that's university, whether that's future engineers. Like, we have this like skip, like we it's like we burned the bridge, and juniors, it's super hard for juniors to enter the market. Like, I'm sure you have some juniors in your company. How do you approach them? How do you make sure they keep up with the pace, which is crazy? Like AI, a bunch of work which gets automated. Like, how do you, like, what do you look for in a junior before hiring him? Because it's a choice. You can either hire a senior for cheap because there's so many of them, or you can invest in a junior and actually grow them with the risk of them potentially leaving the company.
To be honest, we didn't hire anyone in the last year, and we didn't have too many interviews in the last, let's say, 2 years.
Right.
But regarding this problem with the juniors, how hard for them is now to find a job. I was spending some time. I was waiting for my kid to finish some robotics courses that he is doing, and I was in a co-working space at TechWheel. I was working on my laptop, and I was hearing a discussion between two students who also had something there. And they were talking about like, did you send any CVs this week? Yeah, I did. And what is the response rate? No one is responding. No one is inviting me anywhere, and so on. And yeah, same here. In fact, someone invited me for an interview, and it was so abstract and nothing. I had the impression that they tried to mimic the hiring process just to be visible, something like that. So
that's also what I noticed, by the way.
So that's the words that they talked to students.
Yeah.
And I think that I have the same feeling that some of the companies are on the market and on the job boards to be visible, people not forget their names. But on the same time, there is no much hiring happening. Or if it happens, it is very, very attentively happening. You pick the best, you spend or maybe do more interviews than usual to find the best candidate for a position, because you have room.
There's a huge surplus of senior people which were laid off. And if back in the day you had a chance as a junior because all the seniors already were hired, now if you're a junior, you're competing with automation and AI, and you're competing with seniors which don't have a job and are looking for one.
Yeah, but I would like to finish my thought, because this is the first part of the story. The second is I was listening for them, but I couldn't resist, and I went to them.
Yeah.
And I said, hi, I'm Andrian. I did a lot of job interviews. I saw a lot of CVs. So if you want, you can ask me any question you want about this process, and maybe I can help you with something, because I understand the problem and I think you have a problem.
Yeah.
So just ask. They were like shocked.
Yeah.
And should I really ask anything? And I said, yes, please do. And they asked like what they're looking at in the CV. What should I do? How should I do? So I if to summarize the advices that I said, I told them that their CV not should be like perfect and to write anything, because with these AI tools you can have a perfect CV, but you also need to have some proofs that you really know what you are saying there in the CV. Plus, you need to have some repositories on GitHub to share, but not any pet project that you pick. I'm sure that many of them, they have in mind a company that they would like to join, bigger companies, let's say. And they for sure saw someone there. Maybe key people, maybe some seniors, maybe some people who are going on different events and they speak on a stage about something from that company, and or maybe you know what kind of problems they are solving. So pick a problem, pick something that they are familiar with, and try to fix something, pain, fix a pain point, let's say, that they have. And when they will evaluate your CV, they will look through the code, they will see, or they will be familiar with the problem that you are fixing, and they will investigate a little bit how you did it.
You immediately become relevant for them.
Yeah, somehow they can compare you with someone from the team, or maybe they can see that there is a gap in my team that you could fill it in. Maybe I can invite you for an interview and to talk a little bit about your solution. Sometimes that's what's happening at an interview. For example, you are invited, you talk, and you have a problem, a mini problem in your team,
Yeah.
and you want to have someone solving it. And you might give this as a home assignment. So don't wait for that to happen. Maybe you can come up forward, or maybe you can approach someone at an event and to talk with that person, because usually they are very open at this kind of public event.
Yeah.
And you can start a conversation. You can do some ping pong of some ideas. You can be a little bit more special from the crowd. And then you can make a relation, let's say a LinkedIn connection. Maybe you can ask, do you have any open positions? Can I apply for something? What can I do to be invited? Or maybe you are open to have some internship programs. Maybe I can come and do something for you for a month or two, because anyway I don't have a job and I have some time. So you need to offer something to bring some value, not just the CV and to wait. And that would make the road shorter until you start. And if you start, you will just go forward.
Yeah, like I'm having, I don't know when it comes to others, but like every single time I applied, I never got a response back, and I'm having a feeling, because every single time I was the one approached. Every single time I applied, never worked, and I have the impression that people don't even read the CV, and it's just easier to connect with them to make yourself relevant from the crowd, instead of just hoping that your CV will actually be analyzed and actually people are, because a lot of people, like I go into an interview and they read the CV on the spot. They didn't even read the CV before the interview. They don't care. And they just ask you a bunch of questions on spot, and you're like, okay, but did you? I once did this, and I received the feedback that I was rude because I was like asked stupid questions. I'm like, it's written in the CV, and she was like giving the feedback at the end that I was the one who's rude and whatnot. And as you said, like I agree with the repository thing, with one exception maybe. Like there was this trend back in the day where you like you should contribute to GitHub, open source and whatnot.
No, it's not about that.
Yeah, but if you say that you go and solve their problem, their pain point, I wouldn't even care if you, like, I don't know, implemented some algorithm or whatever. If you're solving the problem that we have, I would immediately say this is a person who's relevant. And that's the problem that I see with home assignments. Like a lot of home assignments are pet projects, are like, build me an API which does this and that, and then add some tests, add some documentation, but that API has nothing to do with what the business is doing in their company.
You never know. For example, you can have a big company that solves a lot of, I don't know, complicated stuff for clients.
Yeah.
But also they have, let's say, 5 meeting rooms, and they're always busy, and they need to have a possibility to book a room or to indicate how many people will come and so on. And that's a mini pet project. Why not to give it to, let's say, if there is someone who is applying for a UI UX position,
Yeah,
you tell them this problem, like, make me the UI UX part for this problem. He will do it. And then you invite someone for a IT position to build. You have this design. Let's say you send them a Figma link. Please make the user interface for this. No, and at the end you might be building this mini pet project, and it will be actually used.
Yeah. So you bring a very interesting concept of, I guess, people having the ability to sell their value, which a lot of the times, especially with developers, we're like introverts. We are humble. We don't like to speak super high of ourselves and whatnot.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times it plays against us in a sense that
It always
people
does.
don't fucking know what you're doing. Like, how
Yes.
about you tell them what you're doing? You, instead of speaking technology, you speak impact, you speak business value, and maybe people will actually pay attention.
We always need to talk and
Yeah.
to tell about what we are doing. Even if you speak to a colleague who is also a technical guy, you also need to express yourself. What problem do you solve? Why you are doing in this way or that way? Sometimes a tester can ask, like, what's happening here? What are you doing? You need to be able to explain. Sometimes the code doesn't
Yeah.
deliver the message what's there. Or maybe you have a plan in your head and you are doing just the first step and the other stuff is missing because it's planned to go next. You need to talk. And if you cannot talk to your colleagues, you will become somehow isolated from the process and you will not be invited too many times in a discussion of a planning. Let's talk about how we can implement this epic and so on. Sometimes you can talk, but you cannot deliver a message in a nice way. If you have some criticism or something and you cannot tell what problem do you see, or you
Yeah.
do it but in a rude way, again you might be not invited.
You raise another interesting point, which happens especially in bigger teams,
Mhm.
especially in product companies, I would say, because everything is so focused on the product. Everyone wants the best for the product, for the company, especially in the development world. How do you, I guess, handle these situations where people have differences of opinions, where they come up and let's say somebody wants to implement something in one way, somebody in another way, and you mentioned the point of how do you convey your message? Is your message does your message put everyone in caveman mode, defensive mode, and nobody wants to accept it, or does your message convey something which is impactful, which is positive for the team, and makes it a bit more digestible and acceptable?
Well, I think at the beginning we need to start about what you're doing, what you're solving, and who is paying for it. If the client wants a specific feature or something he wants to build and use to sell to the client, or I don't know, that's the problem you need to solve. And you need to see what tools or what do you have available to make it happen. And when you need to build something from scratch, of course, you can discuss about how we do, what technology to use, how complex, how I don't know, it's a microservice or it's part of your existing business. You can have this kind of discussions, but when, for example, it's something existing, you need to transform and so on, the discussion becomes shorter because
Yeah.
okay, that's what we have, that's what we need to build. We have some time availability for this. Let's see how we can play with those resources that we have to deliver in time.
Are you a huge fan of trends?
If I feel that that trend will become a permanent thing, then I take it in consideration.
Because you've been on the market for so long, you've already seen things come and go, especially in the front end community. It's so crazy and they change so quickly, so fast. Like, what's your take on anything? Because when I ask this question, I speak from my own perspective. I
Mhm.
remember how crazy and passionate and energetic I was at the time.
I
And
also remember.
yeah, and I guess it turned off some people because I was always wanting to change everything, to adopt the latest new thing. What
Mhm.
is your approach when it comes to trends, when it comes to maybe let's take a step back, maybe let's wait for the market to settle and we'll pick solutions which actually fit and solve our business needs? Like, what's your take on trends and how do you approach, let's say you tell developers, let's wait, let's not go too fast?
Well, again, it depends on what you are doing. If you are developing an existing product, you don't have too much room to play with new technologies.
Yeah.
If you're building something new, you can experiment, or there is something. If there is something to build that, in fact, it should have performance as the first thing to do. Then you pick technologies that solve performance. If it's about security, if it's about I don't know, the design or maybe compatibility with the devices or or you can pick. But you always need to take in consideration also who can work on that, how many people you have available on that. Is it easy to switch someone from a project to another, or if you need more capacity, can you bring more people on this process or not? Is someone available on the market to jump in, and to how easy it is, how expensive it is, um, how expensive is the environment where you can put that code to run. If it's cheap, cool. If you need to buy, I don't know, servers and specific stack or something because it's something new, does it worth it?
Yeah.
So it's always a game like that. To jump from one technology to another, I think it's good to know. It's good to taste of everything, but you should not take radical decisions only on that. Like,
because I remember
something appeared, I want to jump into that. If you don't have any kind of project to offer me to try that, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
That's the mistake. I think it's very easy to do.
How do you, let's say, educate developers to unlearn this habit of let's fix what's not broken? Because we have this disease almost where wherever it's the case, we should try a new framework, a new technology, a new database, a new event system, anything that's new and interesting to our mind. We sometimes create a problem when there's no problem to solve. And like, how do we heal from that? How do we overcome that? I guess it comes with time. At least it affected me with time. Initially, I was like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to pick up this new thing. And the project doesn't even care. Like it doesn't even have 10,000 users. Like forget about it. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I think with time, people look at these like I don't know at frameworks or programming languages. You look at them as tools.
Yeah.
There are things that you need to do. Okay, you're looking on your, I don't know, toolbox, what you can use to make it good, and you just pick one. Now, the idea how you always want to fix something that is not broken,
Yeah.
I think that's also something that we want to do, because you don't have time to try something new elsewhere. We try to use existing conditions to satisfy this need to try something new, and sometimes you fight for it, like, I want to refactor this, I want to make it different, I want to try, so let's make a microservice. In fact, you could use it here, you can build it here, but you still want to do something extra or different. And if it's something that worth it, you can try. For example, I don't know, you need to do a solution that does something, but it's not really about this business, it's not really about this product. Or maybe you want to build something that can be used in two places. You have two similar products that do, I don't know, invoicing or something, payment processes or something. And maybe you can think about, okay, we could externalize this, we could make a common interface, and it can live standalone. Okay, let's do it with a new technology.
But you do it post factum. You're actually solving a problem of decoupling a specific piece, which might be critical
that's
or
the
used.
problem
Yeah,
that you are solving. You are not like, let's try a new.
Yeah, you identify the problem and then you're solving it. What happens is, I identify a technology, I like it, and now I don't care what the problem is. It's like, we'll first point to a person, then we'll find the crime. The same here. First point to a framework or technology, then we'll find the problem which we're solving, which is the wrong way in my opinion. But it happens like especially in the minds of young people, young developers. They want to gather as much experience as fast as possible, and they just want to play with anything that they can afford, I guess.
Well, I don't say this is bad.
Yeah,
it's okay. You need to be curious, and you need to be to you need to have something to make you wake up in the morning and start the day.
True.
So if that's the thing, okay, just do it, no problem. If there is a way to help you with that, okay. If not, we need to find a solution. Or, for example, you pick a pet project, you build something on your weekends using that technology. and you try it for yourself, or maybe you can make a use case of it and you can present it maybe later to the team, like, look what I did.
Yeah.
These are the problems that I solved. If to compare to what we are using, this is already uh, solved. You bring value.
True.
And you explain why that's something good, a good idea. But if it's the same thing, you just save some data to the database, you extract it, and you show it.
We're doing the
somehow.
same job. We're crud monkeys. We're saving
doesn't.
data in the database and then serving it over APIs, basically.
So what you're solving?
Like, on the one hand, you do not want to solve what's not broken, fix what's not broken. On the other hand, in your opinion, is there a line between like pushback and comfort zone, and a line where you actually say this is irrelevant, we're wasting time on what business doesn't need at the moment? Like, a lot of developers, especially with age, with family, with, I don't know, loans, whatever their problems is, they don't want to, they want to chill, they want the comfort zone. And like, how do you avoid, let's say, the development team entering this comfort zone? And if, let's say, any fresh blood comes in, has some crazy ideas and whatnot, maybe for the good, for the better of the product of the company, how do you deal with that, with those situations, I guess?
Well, in a bigger team, let's say when you have 20 people, you have people with a lot of energy that want to build something, to do something, and there are others who are chill, as you say.
Yeah.
And it depends on what the business needs, and what kind of tasks, what kind of problems you need to solve. You pick who can do it. For example, if someone is slower, let's say, they don't want to experiment anything, they know how to do it, and they just do it once and good.
Yeah.
Those people can be involved as a supervisor, as someone who is reviewing. It's like he's doing the architectural part, he's explaining what he wants to see and what he doesn't want to see. But there are other people who wants to build everything. Give it to me, I want to do this, that, and you make a small team, a mini team that would solve a problem, and you make everyone happy. You expect quality from those who are like more senior, and they are more slower, and you also want speed, and there are people who want to offer you speed because that's what they want. Close this task, next task, next task, and so on. So you need to find that. But on another way, if you have a slow team, the entire team is slow, and the deadlines are not met, or you cannot do too much in a month, in two, and so on, this becomes a team's problem. And no one is paying you for being slow and not to deliver.
How do you, because you've described this kind of variety in your team where there are people more energetic, people more chill, people more senior, people who like it more stable, other who like it on the edge. How do you evaluate performance in a development team? Like, this is an A player because of XYZ. What are those traits that you think this is what makes a great software engineer?
About the performance, I spent a few months, let's say, talking to people from different companies and teams about how you can measure performance, how to have those kind of KPIs in a team. I didn't find an answer because there is no formula that you can apply everywhere. You cannot count lines of codes. You cannot.
No, that's the stupidest thing you can do.
You cannot count how many tasks you can close or how fast and so on. Every project have its own specifics. There are tasks that can be done by a single person. There are tasks that can be done only involving a few persons to do the review, to do the checking, to understand that nothing was broken and so on. And there are tasks that are individual and there are epics, and you need to follow a roadmap and so on. So there, I think you come already to measure the complexity, how much complexity you can deliver, and with whom and how many people.
Yeah.
So at the end, I think that's what matters, the complexity of the tasks and so on. Now, Of course, you need something to take in consideration when you do an evaluation of the performance of a developer. And here you can look at a few things like how independent you are when you're building your code, how much assistance you need from others to succeed, how much you contribute to what happens in the team. For example, you can close 10 pull requests,
Yeah.
but you never write a comment and you don't care too much what the others are doing. Or it can be vice versa, when you don't really write code, but you are present in all the pull requests and
Have
you
an
are
opinion
like,
about everything.
yes, and you correct the mistakes, or you can give some insights how this can be done better and so on. And you cannot evaluate this person on how many lines of code you write. They are not writing them.
Yeah.
But they help others to write good code. So I think it's always very individual and personal to each player of a team. If you have an A player, you have different expectations from that person when you want to compare with someone else who is a junior or who is very niched and cannot help you too much with everything. So it's very, very individualistic.
Well, let me ask it maybe a different way. What would be the difference between a good developer, a good engineer, and a great one? Is there like a distinction, and what would that be? Like, let's say, as you mentioned complexity quite a few times. Let's say you have something either complex or critical or something which you cannot afford to fuck up.
Mhm.
Like in that instance, you immediately have a list of people in mind
Of course.
and automatically exclude everybody else. What makes you choose those people?
For example, if you have a critical thing, a sensitive thing, something that is spread over entire application, you cannot accept fuck ups.
Yeah.
You cannot accept the scenario when you go and take a backup and restore something, or it's not possible. Then, of course, you are looking at those responsible people who can understand. And in fact, you might also, when you are assigning the task, you say, you focus only on this. You don't do review. You are not distracted by anyone else. It's your responsibility. So please do it like this. When it's something that is bigger, let's say, and can be deployed or delivered in chunks, then you involve more people, because more people should understand what's happening. They should be able to help each other or to talk and to plan, and maybe some things can be done in parallel, and then they meet together and they finish the entire thing. Then you are selecting more people. But to come to your question, the difference between a good developer and a wonderful one, or how you
A great
use
one.
a great
Yeah.
one. Good developers, they do their job, but wonderful, let's say, if you talk about a backend guy, probably you would expect from him to have in mind like not only how to write clean code and very well structured, but he should have in mind, I don't know, security, performance, architecture, good delegation of things in the code and so on. He should think about, okay, what about the environment? He can detect easily that this, let's say, migration will fail, or it will take a lot of time in production, because there we have millions of data and a lot of relations, and that's not the best way to do it. Things like that. When you come to a front-end guy, of course, to know the framework, to write good components, good folder structure, but also you need to think about the user. Will it be easy to understand? Is this form, let's say, well arranged, or maybe I should split somehow? Is this very clear? Like to have a little bit of background of user experience and to know your client.
Yeah.
What's his age? If it's a teenager, of course, he will do everything fast. If it's an older guy, if he uses a small screen, a big screen, you need to think a little bit about that. And you cannot always have a designer to give you all the guidelines. You also need to have
It's
it in
usually
your,
not the case even.
you need to have it in your blood and to to be able to plan and to stop someone when they do mistakes like that.
Are you saying that the guy you have in mind is more of a pedantic one? To some extent paranoid?
No,
Overthinks,
no.
oversees stuff?
No, to overthink, that's also a problem.
Yeah.
No.
What's the thin line between the two?
What we do for people. So they need to know or to think about the person who will use their product. So they should not do it for them to be happy that everything is super cool, super at the high level standard and so on. No. In fact, the client doesn't care too much what was inside.
Yeah, they
what
don't give a
kind
shit
of-
what framework.
Nothing
All
matters. Yeah, and if there is a product that, I don't know, someone is paying for it, they have other values. And you always need to know about the competition. You don't need to do anything that would annoy the client and say, fuck it, I'm closing this, I'm going to someone else. So you need to think about the guy who is paying you, the client.
Yeah, that's another interesting point, especially I would say, but I guess to some extent you're also involved in product management, product development.
Mhm.
And like you mentioned something very important, I would say. Like how do you keep, I guess, the your hand on the pulse of the client? Like because it happens like if you take the government, for example, a lot of the times they come in power, they easily forget what the people want and they just fly above the sky, and at some point they lose contact with reality. Like as a business, how do you, let's say, keep contact with reality, with what the users want, so that one day you don't just wake up and you lose 50% of your users because of a fuck up, or because you thought something is cool, or you thought the people need something. In reality they didn't even need it, they just liked it how it was.
Mm. Yes, that's an interesting topic. In fact, at the beginning, when I was just doing the tasks, I was not really thinking why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But with time, I started to ask at the beginning for myself the questions like, who does need this, or what problem I'm solving, or okay, I did this change now. Did something also change? Is this better, or maybe it was good enough before that? So I started also to get involved in these discussions with the reporters, the people who asked for features. And there was a moment when I already started to think like, do you have any kind of measurements like now it's better?
Yeah.
Or we did a change, let's say a few months ago, and now you want to roll back it. Why? Can you tell me how you decided to do it? What's the problem? So when you start asking these kind of questions, you already um, feel the pain of the user more, or you want to understand what are the needs, the real needs, and to offer a solution for it. So, and of course, almost every time when the client or the other teams that offer things to clients want to build something new, they very often ask like, is this possible? How fast we can deliver? How much it will cost? Questions like this. And you always need to consider what you already have, how connected it is with something, or maybe it's something that you need to build, and you can do it inside this product or maybe a side of it. um, you can build it in-house, or maybe you can just take a product and you facelift a little bit and connect to what you have, and you deliver it faster. So there are this kind of discussions, and being in the middle, you already understand.
You raise another interesting point, which is like, how important is it for developers, for people to actually ask, not necessarily ask questions, but more so question everything? Like, what's your favorite guy? The docile kind of guy which just accepts, okay, here's a ticket, here's what you need to do. And he doesn't ask questions, he just goes to it. He doesn't question, why do we even need this? Maybe we don't need this. are you sure that we need this? Who the fuck reported this? Like, let me go to that person. Like, why do you even like? Because I like, especially when you jump into companies, you just get started. Like, you can't ask too many questions. You need to, I guess, prove yourself to an extent. But then, as you stay in the company, tickets arrive to you, whether it's from an engineering manager, product manager, somebody who created the ticket, gave it to you. We need to add this new thing. At that point, do you ask yourself, maybe not, maybe you don't need this thing, maybe we can do it this way, or you just fuck it, I'll do it, and then another request comes in to revert the same thing which they requested like a few months ago?
Well, because we already spent so much time in this product, we already understand very fast when there is something that doesn't need to be done in this way or at all. But I like the guys or the colleagues that are asking questions, and I'm very happy when they are asking the right questions. And I like the guys who are flexible. They're asking like, okay, what I need to do, this one, okay, why, what problem I'm solving, this one, okay, why we don't do it like this or that, why we cannot take this information from there, or maybe we can use this and transform a little bit and to make it like this. When we have such discussions, I feel that that guy is engaged, understands, and offers back a solution. And usually after this kind of discussions, we agree with the solution that was in fact proposed. On the other side, sometimes when I hear from a meeting that there is a need for this specific thing, and when the ticket is being opened, already suggests the solution. And if that person is smart enough to get it from the beginning, no questions will appear. But if they have something in mind or they have another solution, they can propose it, and we can always negotiate that, because again, the client doesn't care too much how it was done, but for us it's important, because at the end we need to maintain that. We always negotiate the solution, and we take in consideration the complexity and how much time do we have, or can we deliver fast something to make them happy, and then we make it as we need to consider everything that is important for the team, like conventions. And
how do you make developers swallow this pill? Let's do it somehow, and then we'll do it better later. Because it's hard for some developers to accept it. Like, no, fuck it, I'm not doing this. Like, give it to somebody else.
It's the same thing as when you ask something to be done and they want to start with the refactoring. Let's first refactor everything and then to build what
the worst is when they don't say that I'm gonna refactor this, and then a pull request with like thousands of line comes in, and as a reviewer you're like lost. Like, what's the actual change I'm looking for here?
Yeah, but knowing that, sometimes you pick whom to give the task because you already know what to expect.
You know who's more, he's gonna probably let it slide.
So if you know that risk, every project has a dark side. You never want to go there. And if you have to go there, you pick the most courageous man who can go there. I remember just fix it and get out fast.
I remember going to the dark side like a while ago when I was doing that. And you would like open certain parts of the code where people wouldn't be able to hold it in anymore, and they will just comment like swear words like fuck this shit or something like that, and they would just push it to production with those comments. They wouldn't care.
No, we don't do this.
This was funny to see. I even remember like I joined the project and some guy would like wrote a comment like, change this when we reach 2024. Like, he didn't care, like just push it, I don't want to work with this.
It happens.
Back to the team management, because like I think like the example company I always used to take, because I really loved the values that were cultivated in the company, is the company where I started, which is when I started working with you. I guess what I'm curious and what I wanted to ask is, since we talked on performance, I was wondering, how do you like smell bullshit from developers? Are there times when they're like, I don't know, slacking, or they say they do something, they didn't do something, or
Mm.
like how do you, let's say, manage between accountability? Like I know that if he said he's gonna do it, then he's gonna do it, versus like micromanagement. Because you tend to, let's say, if somebody looks fishy, doesn't, let's say, deliver as fast as we want to, maybe, or not as we wanted to, you start put the microscope under them. Like how do you deal with that?
Our style of work is like this. You have a task, you usually discuss it on a planning session or something. You talk to people about what needs to be done. And we do this story point assignment, and you need a little bit to explain what you need to fix, how much time it would take. I think I can do it in a few days, and probably it can go in the next deployment, which usually is in a week or
Yeah.
sometimes 2 weeks. So in fact, you somehow already tell people what to expect from you. Now, if it didn't happen because you found something that you never thought of, or maybe something happened. Let's say you focused on code review more and you didn't manage to do your part and so on. And if that's an explainable reason, everyone will understand. But if it's something that it's like bullshit, as you call,
Yeah.
it might be okay a week or maybe two. But then people from your team will start asking questions. A joke maybe or something, what happened, or or the others will observe and will start asking questions, and I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah.
Your reputation in the team counts, and
I mean, there's
it's not.
plenty of ways to fake work as an engineer.
Yes, it can work a short period of time and then you're in trouble, and I don't think you want that. I think when you say about bullshit, it's another thing. For example, when you have something to do and that person say that I can do it in a week, when in fact you know that that's a
No,
monster that you are.
I would rather be the pessimist guy. Yeah, because at least I have the safety net.
Mhm.
If I do it, then I do it in the period that I said I will do it, instead of just, because like I always, like, in a way, hated the people who are like super positive about estimations, and
Mhm.
then they fuck up. Like why do you even like give those estimations? Like you need to evaluate your own effort and complexity in a way.
Yeah, there is a joke when you start any kind of construction, you should think about the most expensive bill you think you're gonna pay, and you need to double it.
Yeah.
The same with the estimations for developers. When a developer says that it will be 2 weeks, you should also double it.
I guess, again, I'm pulling this out of my ass because I'm not exactly sure. I haven't been engineering manager or CTO, but
Mm.
I guess part of your job is to also do some kind of reporting to
Yeah, a lot of it.
the management above, like what goes into a quarter in terms of like roadmap features and whatnot. So I guess, have you all ever run in trouble because of, let's say, you plan something but the team didn't deliver as much?
There are situations like this when you don't really deliver as you promised, or your estimations were wrong. But also if you have the right arguments and you explain, because it's not always because of um, laziness of the people or something. It's about the complexity. Something is connected too deep with something, or you are transforming something and the effect is very very deep, and you need
Yeah.
to do that. And when we are delivering our product, we always um, take in consideration the risks, and we don't want to come ever to think about the backup. I already told you we are very very attentive on that thing. And when we talk about estimations, and I'm saying that this will be ready in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months, or shorter, I take all that in consideration, and I explain also why.
Yeah.
If I was clear enough, the estimations will be approved. If not, they might ask questions like why, but why? And again, why? And so on. And when there are too many whys, you already start thinking, okay, maybe something is really wrong.
Go
And
back to the drawing board, talk to the development team.
yes, we do. Sometimes when I hear about a thing that needs to be built and it's a huge thing, I always take some time to study a little bit, or myself, or I'm talking to people who understand, and
Yeah.
we do a brainstorming. We offer some, let's say, a roadmap with some actions that or things that needs to be done, and then we go again and we discuss. There are situations when plans like that are canceled because it's too much effort
Yeah.
to make it, and the value is so small that it will never pay off.
Also, speaking of estimations and you reporting to the client, what's the ideal safety net you keep between the client and the developers? Do you have like some kind of a buffer? How does it work?
You talk about time estimation, or
Yeah, let's
the
put
workload,
it
or
time, like because there's a bunch of I understand there's like a few levels of communication when it comes to estimation. There's like the technical actual estimation plus some buffer which developers give, and then there's levels above developers which this thing gets reported slash multiplied by. Like, what's the safety net in this case?
well, it depends on the task. It depends on who will be the people who will work on it, what other processes are involved, if I can stop something and or to snooze something and to focus on this or not. um, bef- Before giving any kind of estimations, first I am asking for all those kind of questions, and only when I know, I am offering the estimations that can be delivered, or in case you delay a little bit, let's say with 50-20% more, to be okay. Sometimes we start building something and we see a problem. I'm trying to communicate and tell there is a problem, but I don't really want to go on this kind of discussions. Usually if I say something, I want to do it. So I'm investing a little bit more in on investigation at the beginning, and to tell all the risks or all the um, problems that might appear, so that everyone is aware from the beginning and not to be surprised when something go wrong.
Yeah, it makes sense. A question that came to my mind is, this is just my own curiosity. How important is for a company to have a CTO, which is someone from within the company, as opposed to hiring a CTO, which has
Oh,
experience as a CTO? And the reason I ask that is also with tied with the other question I want to ask, which is how important it is for a CTO slash engineering manager to be a visionary and think like somebody who actually cares about and likes the product, likes what he's doing for the company, as opposed to just doing a job, like a contractor type of mindset.
there was a moment when we were discussing for a specific type of job if what's better, to have someone from the company, or maybe to hire someone with a vision or with some experience from somewhere else. And here really depends on the product. If it's a very niched one, you also need a person who understands the market and the client. Because sometimes when you pick someone from another area, and you're thinking, well, it's the same thing, the same processes, you work with developers, you work with clients, you need to do some kind of documentation, some requirements, and to manage this, um, you might ruin a little bit, because someone comes with their thinking. They come here to do a change, to do
Yeah,
something different. They have some kind of an ego that they are coming to do something different, and they insist on things, and they are not so flexible on accepting the in-house rules.
let me show these people how it's done, kind of.
Something like this. And if you transform the working process in a fight, you're not losing, you're not winning, you're losing here.
Yeah,
So maybe you can have a consultant or someone who can come, who can listen to you and give some recommendations. and you learn from that person instead of putting someone here to change everything. So I would pick the consultant part
Yeah.
and to keep someone in-house. That's how I see the things here.
Yeah, I think that's actually smart because you can always get rid of them and say, okay, this is enough. I can take it from here. Whereas what I've seen way too many times is people get hired as a CTO right from the beginning, from the get-go, and at some point that person is like, fuck it, I don't care about this project anymore or about this company, and they just leave.
If that CTO is coming and he's building a team around, that's a good practice.
That's a different
If there
one.
is already a group of people and you could not choose someone from the team to be
Yeah.
a leader, that's a problem. And to bring someone and just like, okay, these are the people who
You would
will
be
work.
surprised how stupid of a decision a lot of company make, especially when it comes to choosing direction, vision, people who are going to lead them and whatnot.
You know, I think this problem appears in a team when the team leader or the CTO or whoever would be the manager doesn't allow someone to grow next to him. If they are keeping everything in their hands, they keep the information closed, they just give orders and give tasks and don't accept questions. Usually, it's like, it's like a big tree and a lot of shadow and nothing grows under it. And in this situation, if this person goes, you are in a trouble. And you cannot afford to grow someone now to allow them to make mistakes. You are searching for someone from outside to come and fill this gap and to move on, paying any money you can.
I would even say it's a problem on hiring. What I noticed is even in interviews, like when people interview, they a lot of the time tend to select people that are not better than them, which are easier to manipulate, easier to control, preserve job security, and not necessarily look for people who, as you said, maybe are better than them. Maybe they can grow the company more. Maybe they can raise the quality bar. So you have this level of mediocrity only increasing and increasing in companies.
That's also a mistake. And I don't think this will work forever. Even the manager, the business owner, or someone who will observe that you are doing that you are securing yourself and they will think about replacing you or building something around you or making, because they don't want to have a single person who is doing that. The buzz factor is important, and also you need to have more opinions and you don't need to depend on a single person.
Yeah, we actually talked about this exact same buzz factor today at a retrospective, and the people were like, there's this QA guy who knows everything about the product, and even the product managers don't know as much, and that is a problem. What if he gets hit by a bus tomorrow?
Yes, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So usually this is taken in consideration a lot. And I think you as a manager, I don't think you want to be the only white guy in a team, because you will become overwhelmed, you will burn out, and you will be locked in your own responsibilities and you cannot grow because you always have to do everything by yourself. But if you delegate one thing, another, and so on, and there are some tasks or some responsibilities that you can ask someone to do, maybe not so good as you, or maybe different as you do, you need to have this option, because you will stagnate and you will not feel good at all. Even if you are, I don't know, the superstar of the company and you are very well paid, you will not be happy anyway.
Yeah, you cannot perform at 100% every single day. That's human, that's natural. At the same time, there's people who, I guess, want to present, like, in a way, what you're saying is we grow the company, grow the product, but at the same time we become more and more replaceable.
It's okay.
Which is natural. I would say it's the natural flow of any product. Like any product will.
But everyone is replaceable.
True.
You just need to think about this, that in a month someone else can do it. So don't think about this to build your own empire and to be there. If you are doing a good job, no one will think about replacing you.
True.
So
what makes somebody irreplaceable, but in a good way? Let's say I am going to run my company probably fine. But if this guy leaves, then I'll have to, like, you need some kind of, I guess you have some kind of a wingman as a manager, like somebody who, no matter what happens, I can trust this guy. I can go for a week on a vacation. Everything's going to be fine.
The same thing as, for example, you are a team leader and you are doing everything on your own, or you delegate, or you allow others to perform even better than you, to take decisions better than you. The same might be also for a top manager, the owner. If they want to drive everything and they are becoming their own bottleneck of the company, then it's a problem. But if, for example, the managers recognize you as a good specialist and trust you and allow you to try something new, to do mistakes, to take decisions and so on, you would become somehow unreplaceable because you grow.
Yeah.
And the goal of the entire team is to grow. And if you can offer that, then you're good. If you become a problem and you always need to find another opinion, to talk to someone else to convince you that what we are doing is not so good, maybe we should consider this or that and so on, and you are like keeping everything as you like, then you become a problem. And you want or you don't want, there will be someone who will be replacing you.
Yeah, you need to be flexible.
Yes, that's the key. Everything is transforming and everything can become irrelevant in a day. So if you don't see that, you are in trouble.
Very well said. So you mentioned this idea of consultancy instead of appointing somebody from the outside world as like a manager or a CTO. I'm wondering if you also do the same with engineers. Let's say, I don't know, you at some point come to a conclusion that you need specialists in a specific particular field. Let's say new database, new framework, new XYZ solution that you think is the next thing for your company. At that point, do you hire somebody from outside, or do you just retrain people which you already have? Which is better value in your opinion?
Well, it depends. If, for example, it's something that we want to adopt and to use it long term, then maybe it is wise to have someone inside who can always be there to develop and so on. And you could invite people from the team to learn that new thing.
Yeah.
But if it's something that needs to be built and that's it, to deliver and that's it, then maybe you can find someone who can do it for you and to pay how much it needs to get it done. And that's all. I think we had an experience before that when we tried something with machine learning and stuff, and there was a problem that we wanted to solve. We tried. The results were not so reliable, let's say, and we decided that maybe it's not the time.
Yeah, at that time it was still like, at that time machine learning and AI wasn't in the state we have it nowadays. It was more of an experimental / R&D phase, you could say.
Yes, and I think at that moment it was too early, or our expectations were too high. The bar was too high.
Yeah.
But now that time has passed, we are very interested in coming back and solving those kind of problems now, because you have a lot of options now. And but mostly we try everything to do in-house, and maybe to hire someone to be there to solve that.
Because if you like retrain people, this is actually funny, but this is how I actually got into like Go. And like I took advantage of the fact that in Moldova at the time there was only one company hiring, and the fact is they had like PHP developers out there, and they were retraining and then also hiring people from different backgrounds to retrain on that, which I thought was really interesting. And I was like, I'm going in, like take me in. And that's how because you have this chicken egg problem where you are looking for specialists, but there's not enough specialists because they don't have experience, but they don't have experience because nobody hired them.
Yes.
So I guess it's easier to repurpose some of your engineers. And a lot of them will even do it with joy and happiness because they want to like try new things.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I think that's the drive that and of course, it's something new, but you know the person and you can trust that that person will manage and it's more appealing to try this way than to hire someone unknown that will impress you at an interview but you will discover later that it was a bad choice. And
yeah, that's what I noticed, because like you hire a contractor, their job is give me the task, I'll deliver it. That's it. Yes, I don't care about your vision, don't care about your product.
Usually that's their business model. They want to come fast, to deliver you something, to see the money in their account, and goodbye. I'm jumping to the next project. And if that's what you need, you go in that direction. But if you want something to be like a brick in your entire construction, you would not choose this way.
I think your entire career has been part of product companies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I didn't work in an outsource environment, and I did some kind of freelancing when I had to deliver something. I did it for many years, I would say, and I know how it is, and I didn't like it too much.
Yeah, that was my next question: is for how long as a software engineer you should spend your time doing outsource? Because a lot of the times your biggest enemy is you are not learning new stuff and you're really, really pushed by time.
But it depends on the need. For example, you want to make some money, then you're doing it. If you want to learn something new, there is a way to do it, and your company doesn't allow you to do that. And you can do it for some clients that don't expecting too much, or they don't care too much how you do it, and you can jump to a new technology or something. You can do it for that, to gain the experience, and maybe this would be a jump to your next career. Let's say you do something that is very, very boring and you are very interested in e-commerce or something. You want to go there. You can try for some small mini stores for someone who is selling a few goods on internet. You get that experience and then you jump to a marketplace.
The problem with that is typically IT companies that do outsource, they specialized in several niches, and they, for example, do only one type of job.
If you go to such a company, yes, but
that's my problem with it.
If you are a solo developer and you can choose the solutions, the everything, then it's another thing.
I would say there's two types of outsource. There's the one type of outsource where you niche yourself. I'm only doing WordPress websites or whatever. I'm only doing e-commerce. A lot of the times it's the same thing. It's the same template, just adjusting a bunch of things, like doing a bunch of monkey job, which can be boring and to some extent the same. Whereas if you say do outsource, but more in a sense of I am picking up startups, clients that want products, then that's outsource, but also some kind of product development. That I find way more interesting because you iterate way faster.
Yes, but again, for example, let's imagine you are doing WordPress themes, solutions for different type of clients. Okay, you'll do it 10 times, 20 times, but then you see repetitive things and you think how you can automate this process. And there are other companies that are built on that in fact the client can come, choose something from a marketplace, pay some money, and they have a theme. And their website is up and running. And only if there are custom implementations, you can send them an invoice like, okay, I can help you with that.
Yeah.
There are also businesses like Wix, Breezy, something like that where you can go and you choose from a big list of things, solutions. You can tailor it a little bit and you don't need to know any coding and you have a business up and running. So you start from solving a small problem and then you offer a solution. And at the end, you cannot call yourself a WordPress developer. You are a business owner. You are building something that can be sellable to people.
Have you had people that you hired let's say from the outsource world, where because I tend to believe somebody who's been doing outsource his entire life thinks a little bit different than somebody who's been doing product development and has been part of a product company.
I had a lot of interviews of people running out from outsource because they want to stick to something
Yeah.
and not to be like, to have this pressure. Come on, finish this project because we have another client,
Yeah.
and you cannot think about any kind of architecture, clean code, some code that you are proud of. That like this is what I did, and they talk to people who are in this kind of environment where the quality matters, and they want to try it. And we hired many people coming from this environment, and if they can express their values that they want to have, and they can clearly identify the problems that they have had there, and if we see that it's a cultural fit and we can do something good together, we hire them even if they don't have really the um, experience that
Yeah, that
we
typically their
expect.
experience is this rush. Let me do quick, because that's what they've been doing all their career. And they arrive there and they quickly do things, and then everybody's like, chill, slow down. We're doing things.
Yeah, but sometimes you can have someone in a team that used to do things this way and they
Yeah.
continue to do it like this way, and you can accept it once, you can accept it twice, but then you start talking like, hey, wait
We
a
don't do
second.
that here.
Yes, that that meme
Yeah.
is good here. So if the person gets the message, or he is looking on the other's behavior, and they adapt themselves, then it's fine. And we are always considering this, that we need to wait a little bit.
Yeah, the reason I ask this is because like my experience is more of a contracting experience. You jump into teams. Sometimes, a lot of the times, it's either startups or well-established companies. The problem with like this mentality is you have this kind of I don't give a shit mentality where you just do something which was the ticket asked for and you push it. You don't even compile their code. You don't check it. Somebody like the reviewer will check it, or I'll see if there's like a compilation error, like when I try to merge it. And you have this kind of carelessness, which is the thing that's bothering me and annoying me. Like pull the fucking branch, just the code, and then don't waste somebody else's time. I'm always trying to not waste other people's time. Like when I say something is ready, something is really ready, meaning I tested it, I ran the code, I went through some scenarios, user flows and whatnot, and then I say it's ready. But like a lot of people say, hey, this is ready. The code doesn't even fucking compile. Like, dude, like try to have some ownership. Like I don't know how you deal with those people, but I have like, and I'm not the manager, I'm just a co-worker. And he's asking for review. I'm like, okay, and you do it once, you do it twice, and then you can't trust the guy.
I think I said that usually when I say something, I try to do it. So probably if you have the same thing, when you push something, you own that code. You know what you are in control. So if you are like this, you have this attitude, this brings you value, and you become better and better, and you are appreciated in time. But sometimes it doesn't matter. Even if that guy who is paying you to do your job, if he doesn't care, then why would you care?
True.
Why to lose time with that? If you can continue and it's okay, you think less about the quality, you think less about your solutions, and you are paid well, and you can focus your energy on something that matters, you go on. If you cannot accept this, then you just switch.
Yeah, you mentioned quality quite a few times, quality, clean code, architecture, and whatnot. My question would be, how do you balance between software excellence, things that matter to developers, and not as much to the client? Like, how do you balance software excellence and business happiness, let's call it?
Yes, there should be a balance always. Business usually wants to grow and grow and grow, and they need people to do that. on the other side, there are people who are dealing with that code every day, and
Yeah.
if it becomes a mess and it becomes an unpleasant environment, they will want to give up or to exit from it. And you need also to give them some room to improve, to do the cleaning.
Yeah.
You want to sit on a clean table when you start your next meal, so you need to allow them to have those minimum conditions to move on. Plus, again, if you are building a product for years, you also should be interested to be able to grow on it, and not to hear
Like
always
play the long-term game in a way.
yes, and not to hear, hey, we need a refactoring, hey, we need to switch to something else. When we started, we didn't think about scaling this. And but also, you don't need to overcomplicate things, like in case you would want to scale, we need to make it, I don't know, to be able to have a few containers running, or to have different replicas. If you overthink, wait a second, let's have the problem and then we will solve it when it comes.
I also like, let's do this just in case that. I'm like, fuck it, like when we have the problem, let's talk about it. Now we don't have that problem. At the same time, there's certain problems you don't want to have, or in other words, you don't want to solve the solution when the problem comes. Like, yeah, typically performance is like acceptable. Like, that most likely you wouldn't care, unless of course you reach like a certain amount of users, like millions of records and whatnot. At some point you will start to care. At some point you will, because you will have some kind of metrics, dashboards and whatnot, and you'll see, okay, things are going okay, but it starts to slow down. Maybe we should analyze this. Maybe I should delegate it to a person who's going to look into it.
Performance and security is critical. We need to take that in consideration always, and sometimes speed as well.
Yeah.
Now, in nowadays, people are very, very in a hurry, and they give you like a few seconds of attention. If you don't offer them what they wanted, they will just switch to something else.
Yeah, the client expectations have gotten so high. If you want to land on the market with a new product, the expectations are really high. You need to have apps, you need to have websites, you need to have companions, you need to have really good service, really good UX, no lagging, and everything has to be on point, basically.
Yes, that's why a lot of people are paying attention to the journey of the user on their product. They use the tools to see the heat maps. How much time do they spend on this or on that? How easy you can get that person to buy something, or to see something, or to interact with something. If you do a change, you want to see if that made any effect, improved some metrics that you are following, or not. So that's also important.
I'm going to go back to the beginning a little bit. You mentioned this idea of one army man. I'm wondering, as a CTO, aside from all the things that people have an idea of what a CTO does, what's some of let's call it hidden things which nobody talks about? Maybe boring stuff you have to do, maybe not so interesting stuff you have to do. Is it reporting, or?
One of it is reporting.
Yeah.
And it depends on what kind of reporting. When you have to report your achievements, it's a pleasant thing.
Oh, of course.
When it comes to explain why something didn't go well, or why something is delayed, then it's already not so pleasant. But I think a lot of energy goes on planning, on translating the requirements to something that can be built, to answer to all the questions that someone can have when they are building something, to understand what's the expected result, to do those kind of negotiations when they want something very, very, I don't know, advanced, but there are some limitations. It's technical, or the capacity, or something, and you need to negotiate, like, okay, let's do half of it, or let's do only this part, or let's start with this one, and then we will see if this has some kind of traction and it deserves to invest in this, we will do it. So I think these kind of things take a lot of time, and they are not measurable, or you cannot talk too much about it.
Yeah.
You can have an entire day going, and at the end of the day, you did a lot of things, but you cannot measure everything,
Same here.
So-
Same here. And on the same note, I wanted to ask, what about meetings?
Mhm.
How much time, let's say, out of your entire working day, how much time of it goes to meetings? Let's say a busy day.
Usually the beginning of the weeks are with meetings with management and other people from other departments, but at the end of the week usually is other meetings with the team where we discuss what we did, what was new, or what's the plan for the next period, stuff like that. But there are a lot of communications that happening in written or in chats or in email or way. It's not a real call, or a real meeting. Or sometimes it can be just a lunch and you talk about weather and something for 10% of the time, and then you switch again to work and you discover things or you debate on some stuff, and that's also, you can call them a meeting.
You mentioned this idea of wasting your time or allocating it on something, but at the end of the day, you can't really justify that you've done tangibles. Like, I've done this code, I've pushed it, I tested it, and this is affecting this part of the business, for example. You just spent a bunch of time talking about some things which didn't result in a resolution, which didn't affect anything.
Yes, but sometimes this kind of talks save you time later. For example, you debate on a problem that you foreseen at this stage, and you avoid doing that mistake in 2 weeks after you already delivered something or you built something and you found the problem, and you need to take a decision. So these discussions are important as much as it brings value. When it's already bullshit, you need to stop, and you need to feel how much is too much, when to stop and to go away from that topic. And
you talked about data security, data privacy and whatnot. Was wondering, as a, let's say, person, as a manager of any kind, to what extent you are supposed to be aware of, let's say, laws, regulations, I don't know, anything that's in a way restrictive of your business, and how you should take care of I don't know, user data, company processes, maybe standards and whatnot.
Well, it depends of what kind of data. If you're working with public data, then it's public.
Yeah.
So when it comes to personal data of let's say of an expert, or if you manage with CVs or things like that, again, if that person uploaded the CV or the data on your platform, then okay, he accepted to share it with you. But sometimes you need to take care what you do with this data. There should not be any kind of situation that the data that he shared with you can be found on another platform somewhere accidentally or in purpose, and you know that this is coming.
I don't trust any company. Like anytime I need to like submit a form, I know that data is going to be sold somewhere else. Like, it's just the case, at least for all Moldovan companies. Like, you input something, forget about it. It's going to be sold.
Our product is something that should last, and we try to build a long-time relation with the client. So it's a priority not to fuck up this part, and to be sure that everything is okay. Probably that's the reason why we try to keep everything close, to be sure that the access to the data is coming through those channels that we control, and so we pay a lot of attention on that. Plus, again, if you are working for a wide market for any country, you need to know some specifics sometimes, even for legal part, and to be able to assure that thing is happening.
You know what I'm proud of? We've spent so much time talking about anything but AI. I was wondering, is AI these days like a lubricant in a way for like AI this, AI that? Like there are so many products out there, like my washing machine, like products that don't need AI. Like, since you're like a manager of a product company, do all products actually need to shove down the throat of the users AI?
I don't really like those products that they do a small thing with AI and they already call it myproduct.ai.
Yeah.
And put this word everywhere, but it indeed can help you solve some repetitive things, or can save you time on showing some data to a client, and not to spend 10 minutes to understand something that can be generated and written by AI. So we tried, in fact we implement different things, processes that can be done with AI inside our platform.
Yeah.
Or it's for clients, or it's for us, the back office or something. And we really experiment with that. But also we encourage people to use it in any kind of task they have, or to write code, or to write emails, or to write good messages, documentation, tests, anything that can be done. We are okay to use any tool. In fact, we encourage everyone to use any tool they want. We don't force something in the team. And I am of the opinion that you need to use it and to allow AI in your life, because you have to lose if you put resistance.
I more meant in a product development, not in a product itself, like using AI as part of the product, as opposed to just automating the processes which go around developing the product.
It really depends on what problem you are solving. I'll give you an example. For example, in our product we have like tenders. And to study a tender, what is a tender? There is someone who is offering money to solve a problem in a specific region, in a specific sector. And there are organizations who can bid, who can participate to solve that problem and to apply for it. Now, the funding agency gives you a lot of data, attachments, a lot of information. What are the rules to allow you to participate?
True.
On the other side, you need to study a lot of opportunities like this and to take a decision. I am eligible for that or not. What problem is this tender solving? Can I solve it or not? And you need to spend a lot of time on taking that decision. We are using AI to study all that content, and we present in a shorter way this information, like what problem is being solved in this tender.
Yeah.
Okay, who is eligible to apply for this tender? Companies that have experience in this and that, they work in this region or that region and can do this. And reading this information, and we put a label that this is generated by AI. So we tell, you trust it, okay, not, you can do it by yourself. You choose. This information saves time. Sometimes you just see, okay, that's something that I need. You go and you do your job researching. If it's something that is not for you, you just skip it, go to the next. So this is a case when it really helps.
So as long as it suits the business, it actually helps customers, then it is a case.
Yes.
And my problem with it is there's normal functioning fucking products. I don't need AI there. Like the fact that you put AI to stay relevant with the rest of the market is not helping.
You can feel, for example, if now, because of this boom and a lot of technology around you, people start appreciating people more. And when they see a message that is not perfect, and it is the guy who is writing you the message, you engage to that conversation more versus a perfect message.
Especially if I see like long dashes or apostrophes that are not like normal apostrophes. Okay, that's an LLM.
But again, you can tailor that prompt in such a way to have your style and to make the person think it's you.
So. Yeah, it's harder and harder to find real connections nowadays. That goes both for social media as well as for like work-related LinkedIn and whatnot. On that note, I wanted to ask, are you old school? Let's say more people-oriented, but of course you're not sleeping on the new trends, new technology, and you use AI more as an augmentation tool where you empower people, or you actually try to get rid of people, replace people, and you go full boom on AI-assisted development, on AI agentic teams, as some companies do. Because some companies say fuck people, will try to cut as much and replace them with agents and whatnot, and maybe have fewer people.
You can do the same thing with less people,
Yeah.
or you can do more with the same number of people. So I'm more to this. You can do more with the same number of people. So I look at AI as some superpowers that a person can have, like the suit of the Iron Man, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you are in control, but you can do more. Sometimes there are some kind of tasks that don't scare you anymore because okay, and I know the process, I know how to do. Okay, I don't know the language that is suitable for this, but I think I can handle it. I feel the smell when
Yeah,
it's
it's so much easier to prototype.
yes, and if you're a junior, you are not afraid to do something that is more complicated. If you have tons of questions, you already have someone to ask to allow you to understand better. If you are a senior, let's say, and you know how to do things, but there are things that are boring for you, and
True.
you can delegate to that AI agent to do something for you and to correct, to polish, to be like you, and you just move on and you focus on important things. So that's a privilege, and it needs to be considered. So when it comes on hiring or to have less people, I would keep the same number of people and to do more.
Yeah.
And when it's the moment when you don't already have the capacity to do more with this number of people, to invite more people that would fill the gap, you know. So
yeah, what I see is this stupid trend of let's fucking get rid of half the people just because everyone else is doing it.
I know, but
and then they go back to the same decision of let's hire back people because we actually made a stupid decision.
It's that thing, but also there I heard the story. There is a company that was paying another software company for IT services.
Yeah.
And they said, we read an analysis and we understood that if you would use AI in your processes, it can cut 30% of the costs of the development costs.
That's not much. A lot of people say it's like 50 or 60 even.
Something like that. Let's say 30%. So we took a decision. We would like to ask you to use AI tools and we will pay you 30% less from now on. So that's the solution. Just use AI. And there is a perception that now everything should cost less.
Yeah.
It's $20 per month. Someone can afford them.
It actually also costs less because what happened is a lot of people were laid off and now there's more or less the same amount of employers, but there's way more engineers on the market. And as a result, it only is natural for the price to go down.
Yes.
Yeah.
The expectations are different. And now the companies don't pay or don't give up on money so easy for something.
Yeah.
And they want to negotiate stuff. And you as a software company, for example, a few years ago, it was very easy to find new opportunities and to hire more people to cover that. Now, because there are less money on the market, the demand is down. You also need to know what you'll do next. What will be how your company will look like in 6 months? Will you be able to pay these people and
Correct.
to keep them? What should you do? Should you invest in making them better to learn new things or so on? Will you have projects for them to give, or maybe you should put a safety net and say, okay, I think I can handle with 70% of my stuff.
Yeah.
And let the others go, stuff like that. So I think it's too much uncertainty on all the levels, and everyone is very, very conscious of what's their next step.
I used to believe in like some kind of safety back in the day when I started, but now it's like I don't care. Like I'm always replaceable. There's always a situation that may happen, so I'm just gonna focus on what's valuable and I'm gonna invest in what's never gonna be lost, which is my mind and how I can be relevant. And with this entire boom of AI, I think people more and more become less and less relevant. And I wouldn't imagine what would the majority of developers do if you take away this programming aspect. Let's imagine that tomorrow you wouldn't be able to code.
Mm-hmm.
and
But
you wouldn't
who
have
will code?
LLMs. Like, how relevant will you be to the world?
Yeah, but LLMs do what you ask them to do.
True,
They
true.
cannot do things instead of you and think
No,
instead
my
of you.
point is a lot of people don't have secondary skills.
Well, that's the problem. You
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
build them. I
yeah,
think look at the product or any piece of software, Okay, you know how to write them, but now you need to understand why you are doing, who is the client, how this solves a problem, what the others on the same market are doing, how can you perform better, and to wear a little bit more hats, not
yeah,
just a software developer.
yeah.
And with these tools, you can do more, and you would be safe.
Speaking of skills, I want to focus on one particular skill,
Mhm.
that is critical thinking. Do you think with this AI boom and the rise of LLMs, we tend to outsource way too much of that to the LLMs?
It depends on you. If you don't like to do the hard job, and you are happy that there is someone who can do it for you, then I think you'll become dumper with time. But if you can, you know that there is more, and in fact you are here, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bar is there. You can use this LLM to learn and to get there faster
I
because you
more
can.
so mean not, let's say, juniors, they have a huge opportunity. As you
Mhm.
mentioned, they can quickly learn, and there's no dumb question you can ask because it's gonna always tell you you asked a very good question.
Mhm.
But for the seniors, they're like, okay, I know what I do, but then at the same time, like, what's the line between a routine? Like, there's routine stuff that I don't want to do. I know how to do. I don't want to spend time on that because
Mhm.
an LLM can do it way faster. At the same time, there's tasks that let's say requires you thinking critically and making decisions. And if you delegate that also to an LLM, then you become obsolete in a way.
Again, it depends what you want.
Yeah,
If you free your time, what you'll do in that free time? If you want to grow, you can use that LLM to criticize you and to attack anything you say,
yeah,
and to teach that LLM not to agree with you and not kiss your ass each time you are asking something. So if you transform it in that kind of assistant for you, then you will grow anyway.
yeah.
So it really depends on you. Now it's this period of time when um, everything changes so fast that you cannot rely on a pattern. 2 months ago, 6 months ago, things were different. Now we have some skills. We understand a little bit better how we can work with this, and we can make some future plans. But again, not too long. In 2-3 months, everything can be
Are you
different.
skeptical of the progression, or you think it's gonna go even bigger?
It will go even bigger, but also on an extent. I did some time a parallel. Do you remember the time when Google Assistant, Alexa, and Siri appeared, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everyone was
Everyone was.
talking like, "Yay, something is
But it's the same
happening."
trend with Web3, NFT. This is the new thing, and then it dies like in 6 months.
But
Yeah,
specifically to this artificial intelligence, that kind of it
yeah, yeah,
was.
yeah.
At the end, people are switching song, asking for the weather, and setting counters and turning on lights and stuff like that. I mean, it didn't develop too much. It was a limitation, or they promised too many things. The expectations were high, and at the end, you got what you got.
Yeah.
Now, no one talks about that. But with this AI that today is happening, it's much more. And again, the expectations are very high. And sometimes it's very easy to get disappointed. You write a single prompt and you expect to have miracles, but
Yeah.
you get a mediocre result and you give up. You think, no, it's not helpful. I can do it better. But those who understand how to use it and they can split a bigger thing in small chunks, and you
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
brick by brick to build the entire wall, then it is helpful. And I am this kind of believer that every day, piece by piece, 1%, 1%, it will become better. and I need to be there to learn, to be in this journey, to understand how it evolved, so that I would understand it better.
Yeah.
Someone who is outside the process and they interact with it just a little bit, or they will jump into it later, they might not understand the
Yeah,
historical part and they might not get it.
true. If you're like at the end of the finish line, you might not understand what to pick because
Mhm.
of the lack of understanding of what happened, what led to this, and whatnot.
It's like with cars. There are people who know how a car evolved in time and they appreciate the engineering
Yeah,
part and everything because they knew how it started. And versus someone young who already have access to all these fancy cars and very, I know, powerful, full of technology of things, they don't care that 20 years ago everything was totally
true,
different.
true.
So it's how you look at things.
I was wondering, as a CTO or as any kind of manager, do you watch over your competition? Because you don't care about competition as much when you're doing outsource, let's say. To a point, to an extent, yes, but when you have a product, you're on the market, and you're not only on the market, but you're on the market for several years.
Mm.
You probably either wanna, let's say, keep your customer base, you wanna grow it, but by growing, by extension, it means stealing it from somebody else. Like, how do you deal with the competition?
You know, our product is somehow international and the competition is also far away from us. So what you can steal is like ideas or experiences, or you can learn from their experience
Yeah,
when they succeed on something or when they try something and they fail. So um, I'm looking, but not so deep. There are other people, other departments who are doing this every day and they talk to clients. And usually, clients, they want this or not, they are comparing you with the competition. And you
true.
always have to offer them something else or more value than the competition. And they do this every day. And through them, I know what's happening on the market. And usually, when we have a feature or they say, let's do it similar to how the competition is doing, but let's improve this part because people complain about this, or
Yeah,
this is a problem that there is. Can we find a solution to solve this specific problem? Because if we do it, we are better than the competition, and it's like a selling point. It's something that. So, in this way, I interact with the competition, but to do it by myself because I'm curious, I'm not doing it.
I mean, you need to stay relevant to the market, and if you're not paying attention, then somebody else will do that for you in a way that your competition will say, "Oh, I like what this company is doing. I'm going to do it better than them." Like, you need to understand that they also think just like you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but sometimes you need to take this in consideration. I'm not talking about direct competition, but the user experiences. If everyone is doing something in a specific way, and
Mm-hmm.
people are already used to do it in this specific way, you don't need to invent the bike or to do something
True.
different to be special. Let the person do as he is used to and make the journey easier to get to the point where
Yeah.
you want. When you try to be different, you go on a
It's a
very
risk.
thin ice. And
Yeah. Yeah. It's a risk. I have an inside, you could call it joke or question.
Mhm.
It's from somebody you know. It's a question from someone you know.
Okay.
And yeah, you probably do know a guy named Jonas.
Yes.
So the question is, has he finished writing tests?
He's still writing tests,
Yeah.
but he's doing even more. Um, he wants also to introduce a new concept in our um, way of working. And in fact, it's not really new. We are doing most of it, but not really as he is presenting it, and we always are like having a discussion and negotiation what we can do and what not. Because, there are a lot of receipts or ways of doing things, and some of them fit your company or fit your processes, and some not.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can, from 10 things, you can take 6 of them and to adapt a little bit to your needs, and you take a practice from another process because it's also okay for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are like negotiation things, but yeah, he's doing fine.
Yeah, that was always funny because nobody was like, everyone was not giving a shit. Like, I want to quickly do the feature. Don't care about tests. Don't bother. And you're like, you should write tests. You should do that. You should do that. Which was always funny, but at the same time, like the bar, like this is the bar for quality. You should write tests.
I understand, but also, if we talk about people like him, you have a product or a project, and there are tons of tasks that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And everyone is doing them, and there is a thing like health of the project.
Yeah.
You can get a problem here, a problem there, a problem there, a problem there. And if no one will look at them or will ignore them or will say, yeah, I know, but it's okay, we can live with that. And there is someone in the team who would talk about those problems every day, you will start fixing them.
Yeah, at some point he will be the catalyzer to, like, I always appreciated such people, like, but again, testing is like, okay, we delivered business value, we pushed the feature. Testing is cool. Yes, it's a good thing long term. It can avoid you pushing bugs, breaking things. But at the time, when I remember it with my junior head, I didn't really care. Like, I want my managers to think I'm doing a really good job. And by me doing a good job, I mean actually making sure this feature is implemented, the people who reported the ticket actually validated and are happy about it. And then I'm looking at that guy who's always pushing for quality and stuff. Then you grow up and then you realize he was actually right. This is actually the way to do things. But of course, there's variables like time and budgets.
Let's think about something else. You mentioned today that people are writing their code, they're pushing their branches, and they don't really care if it works or not.
Yeah.
What in fact they're expecting to see is the tests are failing or not.
There's no tests for most projects.
Okay. Yeah. In those kind of products that Jonas is pushing, he wants to have a lot of tests and the coverage to be like almost 100%, so that you would not have to run it locally and manually for every specific scenario. You want to focus on code quality, on conventions, on performance and so on, but you don't want to go and press every button to see all the scenarios. So the tests are important.
No, I'm all for it. I'm just making fun
so
that some
if
people
you invest some time now writing them, you might save later time on every push, every deployment, every pull request to cover that part. You avoid surprises. Believe me, it's not pleasant when you deploy something and something is not working and the clients tell you about that.
Yeah, if the client tells you, then that's not fun.
Yes. So, or during a presentation or a demo, there is such a fuck up that you lose the client or lose the opportunity, and it's not like $100, it's more. So in that moment you are thinking
you're thankful, but at the same time angry that you're not doing it more often, I guess.
Yeah. So again, there should be a balance. How much is too much? So people like him, there should be people like him in a team. There should be people who care about what you do.
It's important such people are actually valued, because you might have people like that, but then managers who don't appreciate people like that.
Again, there should be a balance. If you are paranoid about this, you become a problem.
Yeah.
If you do it gently and you accept compromises and you know your goal, your long-term goal, and you know that in a year you'll be there, and you deliver piece by piece the message or your actions, then it's fine. But when you're doing or you're forcing something and people are putting resistance on this, you have a problem. You
Yeah.
will not manage, and at the end of the day, you will not be happy at all of what you did, how you spend your time at work, and you try to do something and no one is seeing your effort. So you should be realistic on what's possible and what not.
Yeah. Yeah. True. As a manager of any kind, including especially a CTO, it takes a lot of discipline to do what you do. How do you keep up with your discipline? How do you do you do you ever go into procrastination?
It depends on type of job that you need to do, and um, if you procrastinate, you cannot do it too long,
Yeah. Yeah.
because again there are expectations and you need to deliver. It's a job that you need to do, and if you don't do it, you you'll be replaced.
On that part, that the fact that it's a job, aside from the fact that it's a job, it's also a job for a developer, but it's
Mhm.
not as stressful. Being a manager is way stressful. How do you handle stress?
I don't have something to say, but there is no magic pill for this. I just take it somehow easy. I don't get nervous too easy.
Yeah.
I try to hear everything that people talk to me, and I um, digest this and give some feedback back. If it's a stressful situation, something is not working, something needs to be fixed fast, I somehow find that judgment to find a solution fast, or to know how to fix it fast, and I am okay. And because we are always thinking on how things can go wrong, we don't have so often this kind of situation, so I'm okay. I'm not really um, good at managing the emotions of other people.
Yeah.
If it's about code, about application, about all that, I'm in control. But when it comes to people and I cannot control them, they get angry, or they get rude, or they do stupid things, they are like affecting the other colleagues or the processes, or they ruin everything around them.
Yeah.
I cannot control that. In that moment, I don't have too much experience to deal with that. So then I can lose control.
Yeah.
I mean, lose the judgment. How is
It's a
wiser
thin
to do
balance
so?
between I want to cut this person off because they're toxic, or maybe we can work this out. I'll just take a step back. Maybe they can figure out like what's the
It
approach.
depends on situation. For example, if we talk about a toxic person, it's one thing when that person knows he is toxic,
Yeah.
and he knows he has a problem, and he is open for suggestions like, okay, I know my problem. Let's find a way to avoid it, or let's make it better. Then I'm okay to work with you on that. But if you are putting resistance and you behave like a kid,
Yeah.
and you are always upset, you are always complaining, you are always unhappy, you accept to do things, but always there is a price to pay, then it's a big problem. And I did this mistake in the past, that I accepted too long something.
Yeah.
I knew that this becomes a bigger and bigger pain, and I was accepting this pain because I was getting something else back. I learned the lesson that I not resisted, I tolerated this too much.
So would you value, let's say, less toxicity over competence? Because that's what I'm hearing, at least. Because this
Uh,
person is so valuable, so competent, we can maybe afford that he's a little bit toxic.
I was thinking about something else when I said this, but if we talk about this, it should always be something on a balance. The competence versus the atmosphere in the team. So I think the atmosphere in the team is way more important than the good code or the good skills and so on, because I think to get better skills on programming or competency, it's easier to get versus how to behave in a specific conditions.
Do you go around and ask about the overall temperature, or people come up to you?
Usually you get this information very easy during even a coffee break or a performance evaluation or a situation, a conflict, a mini dispute that appears in specific tickets or situations.
Yeah.
And you feel, I already saw so many things that I can smell the bullshit and the situation from far away, and I already know, and I prevent things without anyone to notice.
Yeah, that's I guess what defines a good manager, I would say. Since you are an ex-developer, and since I am also one, we all to some extent suffer from the imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
Do you have like a solution to how we can heal from that, maybe?
I think that's in the human's behavior to feel like an imposter in any situations, even at home, in your family. You sometimes we think too good about us that we can do a lot of things, but
Yeah.
in fact we don't. Or sometimes we pretend that we can do a lot of things. In fact, we don't know how to do them, and you always have to define who you are and who you want to be in front of other people. So um, I think you can fake it till you make it for a short period of time. If you can improve yourself and to not to be an imposter, then go for it. If it's something that you know that you cannot do it, just don't say that you can do, or be realistic, and you will remain in front of the people as someone who can keep a word.
Yeah, I'm also of the same opinion. Like, I'd rather be the pessimistic guy, but at least I keep my word instead of always being positive and then not
Mhm.
actually keeping my word.
Yes, you need to say no sometimes.
Do you often say no?
Mm,
Less to the management?
No, no. As I said, I'm trying to be realistic, and I'm not saying yes or no. I'm more often saying it depends,
Yeah.
or let's talk about this. What do you mean by this or that, or how do you expect to see the result? And then I can say yes, I can do it as you want, or no, let's find someone else, or you know, the maximum I can offer is this. So if you accept the solution, then it's a yes.
Yeah.
So it's more like a negotiation. White or black, yes or no. Mm, I did it in the past,
Yeah.
but now I'm more like thinking and coming with the result later. And if I say yes, then it's a yes.
This is coming to an end. It's been such a wonderful discussion. Before I'll ask my last question, um, well, he didn't really drink that much of wine, but the tradition of the show is you pick a bottle of wine. So we have two brands. We have one from Purcari, another one from Individual.
Mhm.
So which one is it going to? Do you like this one, or you would prefer to try the other one? Is the question.
In fact, if we go back to the wine,
Yeah.
I really like our Moldovan wines. And I didn't try this kind of wine from Individuo from Chateau Vartelli before.
Yeah.
I liked it, I would say, but I would like to congratulate our wine producers, even those the smaller ones, that they are doing a great job. And if you want to give someone a present, a bottle of wine is always a good present. Also, sometimes I pick not every bottle of wine, but those who are from our local region, let's say, Rară Neagră, Fetească Neagră, Regală, something like that, Viorica.
Yeah.
Grapes that are only here. And if you give someone a bottle of wine, to be really special, to try something that represents you as a country. So any bottle of wine will be
Yeah, we are
good,
representing the country. That's why I pick
Mhm.
the default drink of choice of this show is wine.
Yeah.
So
So
which
I'll pick this one that we tried. I think it's a good one. And
I really loved it actually. It has a really good fragrance and yeah, just especially when the discussion is authentic, it goes on. I'll just keep on dunking it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you for the opportunity. And
Yeah, before we close the show, I ask each and every one of my guests one final question, and that is, what is your final piece of advice for anyone who's watching, whether they are managers, developers, people you've interacted with, friends, and whatnot?
well, it's a very hard question. It's very easy to give advices, but
Yeah.
I think the only thing that matters at the end is to stay curious and to try something new and to do what you love and to be flexible, I think, because everything changes, and if you don't change, you will become irrelevant probably.
Yeah.
And that's something that you need to keep in mind. So just move on,
Yeah,
keep
that's
going.
such a good piece of advice. It's always reminds me like I need to teach myself to always be relevant, always move on, always change. It's comfort zone. Yeah. All right. Once again, I want everyone to know that this is my mentor. This is the person who shaped my IT career. So it's an honor and pleasure to invite you here to talk to you. And it's been a really wonderful discussion.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I'll try to watch it again to see myself from another perspective, but I enjoyed the discussion and it was like really interesting. I don't think I ever gathered so many thoughts of what I do in a single discussion.
Well, we're writing history, so you can go back to it anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to see myself in 10 years from now.
I look at my younger self sometimes and like, fuck, like I need to go back to that energy, like I'm sleeping on. Yeah. All right, then, like I said, one more time, it's been my pleasure, and I am waiting for a V2, V3, like anytime you have the desire to talk about anything, and if you want to, I don't know, try some new wine and whatnot, I'm always down.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was VUnstaged. Keep your mind open and your source unstaged.